Drinks, food, art, fun. This is Hops and Spirits Kentucky.
I had a great time this past weekend at the Woodland Art Fair, where there was getting some good drinks, talking with some friends of the show, or just checking out a lot of amazing art. It was a ton of fun. Hopefully this weekend, if Mother Nature cooperates and brings down those temps maybe into the 80s, I get to check out Crave here in Lexington. And if you missed last week's episode, you'll get to know all about what's going on there, because a lot of fun there. But before we get into our episode this week, as we continue our road trip series up to Streetside Brewery in Cincinnati, what's pouring some news in notes from around Kentucky. Fast casual Venezuelan concept Señora Arepa closed its NuLu location in July, but the restaurant reopened on Tuesday, August 22nd in St. Matthews. The new digs at 117 St. Matthews Avenue, Trinity High School boasts a bigger patio with a giant moss-covered bowl and a new menu with old favorites. Bourbon Blush Salon Spa is celebrating its grand opening on Friday, August 25th. Treat yourself to many services, giveaways, raffles, refreshments, and more. The Downtown Louisville spot is known for its award-winning bourbon-infused treatments. That's right, bourbon-infused treatments. Congratulations are in store to Chef Ouita Michel, whose video series Up Home has been selected as a finalist for the 2023 International Association of Culinary Professionals Digital Media Award. Her passion project takes a deeper look into the culinary world of Central Kentucky with Ouita's friends and neighbors. And Lexington Sweet Iron, which is District 7 Social Hall's newest eatery, is slated to open soon and will feature a European and regional waffle-inspired menu of classics. That sounds delicious. Bad Wolf Burgers, formerly located on South Broadway in Lexington, has returned to the Meadowthorpe area after its lease expired. Owner Rachel Collins said a smaller space made sense due to increased demand for carry-out and delivery orders. You can visit their new location at 1401 North Forbes Road. Kohl's 735 Main is bringing back its nonprofit dinner series called Kohl's Community Table. You can reserve your table now for their first one, which is happening today when this episode drops on Wednesday, August 23rd, where proceeds from the evening will support the Thoroughbred Aftercare Alliance. FoodChain and 21C Lexington are teaming up to help combat food insecurity in the community with a culinary fundraising event. Harvest, which will be held Thursday, September 7th, will feature a 4-course meal, silent auction, jazz music, and art. Seasoned Spirits, a unique charitable art exhibit from the nonprofit Bourbon with Heart, will showcase 50 bourbon barrel heads, each hand-painted by talented Kentucky artists aged 50 and above. That's right. It all makes sense on Seasoned Spirits. The exhibit will be held at the CAMBRiA Hotel, located on the historic Whiskey Row in downtown Louisville, for 6 weeks, beginning on September 1st, so you need to check that out. And in some sad news, BoBi Cones, the sister shop of Crank and Boom, announced that it will close at the end of the month. The last day to snag soft-serve ice cream at 3735 Palomar Center Drive in Lexington is August 31st. Up next, we continue our Road Trip 2023 series with a stop in Cincinnati as we chat with Garrett Hickey and Streetside Brewing. Enjoy.
Remember to check out Hops and Spirits on social media at Hops Spirits, all one word, on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also find Hops and Spirits on YouTube and at hopspirits.com.
Joining us today for our Q&A, it's part of our Road Trip Series 2023 as we head up to Cincinnati and we talk with the managing brewer and owner at Streetside there, Garrett Hickey. Garrett, welcome in.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you hopping on here, and we'll be talking about all things Streetside here in a second, but I always like to start these off with what I call the Cliff Notes. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, not too much, because like I said, I've got some good questions to ask here shortly.
Sure. Okay.
Put you on the spot, right?
Yeah, I know. So we're managing owner, managing brewer and owner of Streetside. We've been open for about 7 years, almost 7 years. Been in the industry for 9, almost 10 years now. Started out volunteering at Mad Tree, and then worked at Rivertown, went to school over in England, and then we opened up Streetside. So that's just like me professionally. 2 dogs, wife, house, the normal stuff.
I like it. I also like how you went over to England for school. Was there any particular reason why you wanted to go over there to kind of get a little more in-depth knowledge of the industry?
Yeah, for sure. So when it was like in between the time of volunteering at Madtree. I was working at a bar to try to get like the front of house side figured out. And I was volunteering at Madtree to try to get a little back of house knowledge. And I was kind of just like thinking of ideas on how to like expand my knowledge without, because it was hard to get a job. There's not a lot of breweries. Volunteering was great, but obviously it was volunteering. I was only getting paid in beer. And bartending is fine, but you're really at a restaurant, you're not really getting a good idea of like what a brewery really looks like. So I started looking for schools that I could go to, and like Siebel was one of them. And back then that was 9 years ago. Yeah, 9 years ago, almost 10, I guess. Siebel was around, UC Berkeley was around, but they were all, Siebel was all theoretical up until a certain point where you could go over to Germany and learn at their program at Doemens. And then UC Berkeley required you to get into their graduate program. And I'm not like the best of students. So I kind of I was looking for something a little bit different, something with practical as well as theoretical. And Brew Lab over in Sunderland offered that. So whatever, it wasn't really even an application process. It was kind of just like you paid and you went. So I had a cousin who lived over in London at the time. Went over, hung out with him. He kind of like showed me the ropes of the UK, and then I went up to Sunderland. I was there for 3.5, 4 months, and then from there I went and visited an old intern of mine in France, and then I came home. But yeah, during that time it was, we would do like one practical brew session at school that was like homebrew, 3 days a week. Yeah, 3 days a week it was theoretical, whether it's business plans, microbiology, chemistry, off flavor training, that stuff like that. And then on Tuesday, Thursdays, typically it was either you were out in the area around Sunderland doing hands-on professional training at breweries in the area, or you were doing your home brew where you would write your own recipe and do all the stuff at Brew Lab, and then the professors would kind of oversee that. And we would do like, sometimes we went brew, sometimes we would do, they had like a little bottler that was like a counter pressure, super nice counter pressure bottler for like professional breweries that you wouldn't really, like, I've never seen again, but it was really nice for what we had. And we would, we'd bottle, like the whole class would bottle, we'd all sit around and mess around while like one person bottled, because it would take like basically the whole day for 12 people to bottle their beers. And then we left. When we left, we had, I think there was like almost 150 cases of beer left there, because there was so many, like we couldn't drink the amount of beer that we had made for 12 people. So whoever cleaned up our dorm got a ton of beer.
Well, and it seems to have worked out. Was the goal when you went over there to basically be able to start a brewery back here? Was that the ultimate goal? Yeah,
I mean, that's definitely like what they pitched themselves at. It was definitely what I envisioned when I went over there. The practical experience of like brewing with brewers in the Sunderland area is one of those ones where I was like, all right, that's where I'm going to learn the most. It is definitely like a different world over there. So there's some of the application is not quite the same. But that was definitely like when I went over there, I was like, all right, this is what I'm really going to focus on when I'm over there. There's some stuff that I already know that I don't need to worry about. There's some stuff that I don't know that I do need to pay extra attention to. So that was kind of when I got there, that was what I was really, like I had a game plan ready to go when I got there.
And when did the idea when you got back here kind of turn into the reality that would become Streetside? Like how did that all work?
It kind of like, it was already, when I went over there, it was already in the works-ish. We had purchased the building that we're currently in. And then So like when I went over there, we had purchased the building, I think in August, and I went over in February. So when, like, as I was, the day I flew out, I believe, or the day I got to Sunderland, because I was in London for a week. Sorry, I'm trying to like get my timeline straight. The day I got to Sunderland, which was after a week over there, I actually got my parents called me and they said, well, the building partially collapsed. So we had bought this building. It was already, the previous owner had set a fire in the office to try to get insurance money. We bought the building because it was cheap and it was run down. We wanted to be in our neighborhood anyway. So, we got there and the huge snowstorm in Cincinnati and the roof collapsed. So that was pretty inauspicious start to the general Sunderland trip. But yeah, I mean, when we'd already had this whole idea, we didn't have a name, we didn't have anything. We just knew that like the idea was when I got back, we would open Streetside. And now that's not really, it took a little bit longer to get going, but it was one of those things where we were like, we knew what we were doing, or we knew what we wanted to do before I went over there.
Well, and I was going to say, I mean, when it comes to that location, clearly there was a reason that it was available, but was it a simple search? Because I know talking to some folks, it's not always very easy to find a location.
No, I mean, it was, we kind of went all over the place. We probably chased our tails on the location, like right outside of Cincinnati in a neighborhood called, or a little city, I guess, technically, called Newtown. It had one building on it. We were like, what we would have done was build another building, and then kind of like attach them. And actually the people who bought the land after we decided that we weren't going to build there, did exactly what we were going to do. So like, it's you can see like what our idea would have looked like if we would have decided to go there. But the township wasn't super helpful. I think it was kind of like one of those things where like not a lot of breweries were open. So, people weren't as willing to like welcome people into the neighborhood, even we had some trouble. We had a lot of people that were not happy with us for demolishing the building after the roof caved in, because it was quote unquote historic. It wasn't really historic. It's just an old building. There's the difference, as we said many times, there's a difference between historic and an old building. So it was difficult. It wasn't the most arduous search that you've probably ever heard. I think we settled on this after 3 different sites. And we always really wanted to be in the neighborhood that we were living in anyway. So like it worked out well. And this was always something that we had our eye on. So it worked out.
Well, it's a cool spot, and I'm curious. The name Streetside, obviously, yes, you're right on the street and things like that. But how did the name come about?
The name is actually the story is very lame. It's not super exciting. We were meeting with our branders, and we had like a list of like 100 names, and like I wasn't like married to anything. I didn't really know what I wanted to call it. I think I had a couple names that I liked, and then I just didn't. None of them really were catchy enough for me. So we're meeting with the branders, and we go through this list of 100, and then we narrow it down to 50, and then we narrow it down to 25, and then we narrow it down to 15, and then we narrow it down to 10, and then we narrow it down to 8, and then we narrow it down to 6, and then we're sitting there, and it's like, I think it's probably in these meetings, this was like the 3rd meeting about the name. So we're on like hour 2 of debating these 6 names, and we were going to do, I think we were going to do like East End Brewery. I can't remember. But apparently there's an East End owned by Ice House Brewing in Pittsburgh. I don't even know if they still have that trademark or not. And that was going to be the name we were going to do, East End. I really liked that name. That was like the name that I really, really wanted to go with. And we found out it was their trademark, and we were just like, all right, well, we're going to have to go with something else. So they suggested Streetside. I didn't love it, but here we are. 7 years later, we still have Streetside. So it was one of those things where like we kind of I'm just kind of dealing with it, or I kind of dealt with it. Now it is what it is. You know what I mean? We've been here for a long time, and that's what everybody. I mean, it'd be weird if we changed the name. So, yeah, it was not really my idea. I think we've been able to maybe not overcome the name, but when we first opened, like we were gonna be like very not like road themed, but we were gonna try like do a lot of neighborhood stuff, and we kind of like got past that pretty quickly, and I decided to just be more unique with the names and try to think up as many different weird names that we could, so that we weren't like stuck with all road themed beers. Like one of the things that we said early on was like, we don't want to be like a motorcycle brewery. Not that there's anything wrong with motorcycle breweries, but like it was, we didn't want to be just like automobile and like road themed beer names. So we fairly quickly adapted away from that.
Well, I'm guessing that's where something as clever as Little Blue Balls came to be then. And how much fun is it naming your beers and trying to have extra fun there?
It was for like year 1 to 3.5 was probably more fun than it is 3.5 to 7. It's hard to think of new names. Not every day, obviously, because we don't make new beers every day or even every month. But it is like, for instance, the beer that we did with Mile Wide for Hops on the Hill. I didn't have a name. I was like, why don't we mash together 2 names of like 2 New Englands and we can just go from there. And they didn't love that idea, and they suggested something. I was like, all right, cool, let's just do that. I don't really care. It was one of those things where like it was like I was like, all right, I have, and like when Scott threw it out, I was like, all right, cool, I know what I'm going to do with this, or what I'm going to suggest to our brand manager who does all the cans, what I'm going to suggest to him to do. So if I don't know when this will come out, but the beer is called Fluffy Fingers. I don't know if I'm sure people that are listening to this have seen or heard of Lettuce Fingers. So I had him do a Lettuce Fingers style label, because I wasn't as much as I like. I'm not really an office guy, and that's what it's from. So the description is very office themed, but the label is very like, it's honestly pretty disconcerting. It's a lot of, it looks exactly like the old YouTube thing. So it's interesting, but that's one of the things that sometimes we'll do stuff that is named for one thing, and then the label's totally is totally out of like left field. You know what I mean? It's we're doing one here soon called On the Cloud of Unknowing, which is after a Gorillaz song. And I was telling him like the inspiration I was hoping to do for the label, and I was like, you know what would be cool is if we did like Goku running on the Dragon Road. I don't know if you're a Dragon Ball Z guy, but there's a whole long episode where Goku just like runs along this road. And I was like, that would look neat. So that's hopefully what we do. I don't know if that's actually what we're going to do, but we'll see.
Well, it sounds like even if you're not having as much fun with the names, you're still having a lot of fun with the labels. And what's
Sure.
it like to kind of, you guys have got a nice mix of IPAs, sours, lagers. I'm guessing, was there a certain, style that you enjoyed at first, or is it one of those things where you just kind of liked them all and have a little bit of everything up there?
Yeah, so I was a big kettle sour guy to start with. Raspberry Beret was probably my favorite, was my favorite beer when we started. I've kind of progressed out of, and I used to drink a lot of New Englands too. They weren't necessarily my favorite, but I liked them. I've kind of progressed beyond those, not necessarily, my palate's just changed. I'm a big, like Modelo guy when I go out to, out to a bar. So like my favorite beers that we make, are Mexican lagers. We have like an Italian Pils coming, and we have our Fest beer coming out, so I'm excited for those. We're trying to expand our lager program, kind of because that's like what the brewers like to drink. I know that's kind of cliche to say that the brewers like to drink lagers, but that's what we like to drink. So we're going to try to. We've been trying to expand that part of the brewery. But yeah, I started out as one thing and I've completely changed to like the complete opposite. But I feel like that's how a lot of people in the industry's palates have changed. And I think I think a lot of people, a lot of consumers are kind of going that way as well.
I was going to say I'm the exact same way. I was a big sour guy, kind of gotten into the hazies, and now it's almost kind of funny. We're back where we started with lagers, what we grew up drinking, and you guys also do a lot of fun things there too, in the sense of kind of I feel like experimentation, whether it's different flavors, styles. Why is that something that you've always kind of done? Because it's not like a straight lager all the time. There's a little bit of a thought into that recipe.
Yeah, so it was. One of the things that, like, when we opened, it was kind of, because it was not so early. I mean, we haven't been around that long, but when one of my biggest problems with a lot of breweries was they would say something was supposed to taste like something and then it wouldn't taste like something. So my big thing was like, hey, if we're going to say that this beer tastes like this, it needs to taste like this. So that's why we've always been so adjunct heavy. Like we kind of go, well, we do go above and beyond what a lot of people think is maybe prudent. But yeah, that's we've always tried to like not push the limits. I don't want to say that, but be diligent about how we are adjuncting and how if we're gonna do something out of maybe the realm of like your average standard, like whatever, a goza. Like if we're going to put plum in it, we're going to put 500 pounds of plum in it. We're not going to put 250 pounds. We want you to taste the plum, even though plum is kind of like a plum goza is not the most exciting beer of all time, but it is like, I still want the consumer to be able to taste the beer taste what we intended for it to taste like.
You don't want like just a hint. You actually want the full-fledged flavor with it.
Yep, for sure.
And when folks get to come and visit y'all there, I've been there. It's been a little while since I've gotten to visit y'all. What can they expect in the tap room and when they come there?
Trying to think of because I'm not really intimately involved in the tap. I mean, like one of the things that we've always tried to describe ourselves as is like we try it like. Even though we're a brewery, even though you can watch us work downstairs, we try and still be kind of like your living room, your home away from home. Try to keep it almost a little divey. We've got Christmas lights up. We've got like the faux brick. We're not like the most polished of breweries out there, but we are trying to like make it so you're comfortable when you're here. And whatever, it's a recognizable, like a recognizable vibe, I guess. And like one of the things that, like when we added the patio last year, we had a like basically almost 2.5 times added the like a patio that's 2.5 size of the original patio. That was like, hey, we know that people want to sit outside. We know people like enjoying their decks. Let's try to make this into an area where people can come and sit outside, because it was really like the original patio was extremely small. I think we probably could fit 20 people out there. So if you're trying to sit out there and enjoy a beer and there's 30 people around you, it's too much space. Now there's plenty of space for everybody to sit. We've got 4 TVs out there so you can watch TV. We got heaters for the winter. It's one of those things where trying to bring people here that may have just like, instead of sitting on their patio one night or on their porch one night, they're coming here and they're sitting on our patio.
A little home away from home.
Yeah.
And obviously food, if folks want to have food, is the food truck still hanging out front, or what's the options they have there?
Yeah, so we got rid of our food truck. We used to own Black Dog Grill. We got rid of it. A lot of people say that we didn't really get into this to own a restaurant. And like with everything that's happened in the last couple of years, running a restaurant is not easy. And it was just turning into like it was honestly just like a burden. It was making money, but not enough money to justify the stress that went into running it. So we partnered with Craft Burger Bros. They've been around. Trying to look at the food truck. I can't see it. I think they've been around for like 4 or 5 years, and they make really good burgers, better burgers than we could have made. And that's their job. Their job is they only do one thing. They are a food truck. They make food. They've worked in kitchens before, and they know what they're doing. So they have a really good menu. Their burgers are killer. They've got fries, pretzels, all that stuff. So I mean, they're doing really well. We're happy that we got out of the business and we have a good partner now. So.
Well, those partnerships are always cool, and clearly earlier you were talking about doing some collabs mile wide down and so forth. And I know down here in Lexington, where I'm based, you guys have done stuff with Mirror Twin and some others. Mm-hmm. What is it about collabs that you guys like doing, and then obviously kind of bringing two interesting minds together to create something cool?
For sure, it's I mean with any collab. You, like you said, you're bringing 2 people together, or more than 2 people together in a lot of cases, and you get to bounce ideas off each other. We're doing one with RAR in the middle of August, and that's been in the works for a couple months. So it's been fun to be able to bounce ideas off of each other for that. I think he's a brewer there, but he messaged us on Instagram, asked if we'd want to do something. He's from here, and so he's been. He texted me. We bounced some ideas off each other. We got on a Zoom, and Sorry, I guess everyone just decided to yell. I apologize to the audience who's listening to this, who's listening to my mother yell. So we bounced ideas off each other. We're gonna really blow that one out of the water. We're doing Mega Matuka, which is a blend of Phantasm and Matuka, like a thiol heavy Matuka, and YQH 1320, which is like an experimental hop, and then we're doing a thiol producing yeast, and that's even a blend. So this beer is like really like crazy, and we're excited about that one. But that's one of those ones where we bounced ideas off each other, and we're still bouncing ideas off each other whenever we do. We're doing our blend with more for our anniversary. We did a stout that we put in the barrels in 21 when we were up there for their festival. Victor, our head brewer, talked to them. We brought up samples with them. They sat down and talked for half a day, and just threw ideas off each other. So it's one of those things where you're doing weird stuff with people that you like, and people that either might not be your friends but might end up being your friends. Like the guy from RAW, I didn't know him, but he reached out, and honestly, we don't talk a ton, but we talk enough that I text him more than I text some of the people that I actually am friends with from back in the day. So that's one of those things. It's same with Scott and Kyle from Mile Wide. I'm talking to them once or twice a week, or actually right now once or twice a day, just to get all the details ironed out for Hops on the Hill. And Derek from Mirror Twin, we met. I don't even know at this point. I don't remember when we met, but he threw out the idea to do a collab. We went down there. He was busy, and he was like, "Hey, he's like, I can't hang out all day." I was like, "All right, that's fine." I was like, we weren't super close. So I was like, "I'm just gonna leave if you're cool with that." And it actually worked out because my dogs, the deer died in our backyard, and they decided to eat the deer. So we had to give them bath. So I got home in right in time to clean up our dogs. So it was kind of a bit nice that Derek was busy. But then they came down, and we've done that collab with them, or we've rebrewed that one multiple times. We're actually going to rebrew Two Dudes Being Bros for our anniversary, because we haven't released it in a while, and we're going to do a double fruited version. So it's one of those things where it's like we can always, one, you get to make cool beers with people, and then also you get to like we do iterations of a lot of these beers. Like we're doing, we've never done double fruited 2 Dudes Green Grows, but that's what we're gonna do for the anniversary because it's a little bit something different. Travel Weather with Masthead, we've released a couple times last year, but we hadn't released it in 2 years. We just released like the straight version this year, but then we also did like a 4-barrel batch of Pog Travel Weather. So, and then last year we didn't release any Travel Weather except for our triple dry hop version of it.
So clearly a little fun. Clearly a little fun.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, like I can talk about collabs all day because it's just like we do a lot of them, obviously, and it's just like it's such like it can be as like straightforward as like 2 friends just sending recipes to each other and saying, all right, cool, like that looks good, and it can be as complicated as, hey, like these barrels have been sitting here for this long, like we think these are like some of our best barrels, like how do you feel about doing this with them? And then somebody might say, hey, I don't like that. Even this more beer, like I'm not super pumped about their ideas, but you know what? Like, I mean, I trust that Victor and David know what they're talking about, and we're going to make them, and I'm sure it'll be good. Everybody's going to like it. I have no doubt about that. I'm just, I'll give away one of the variants, there's 2 variants in it, but white chocolate is one of the variants, and I'm not a big white chocolate guy at all. So we'll see. Maybe I won't drink a whole lot of it, but we are releasing like a unadjuncted variant where I think it's going to be a couple cases. So that'll be fun too. Like I'll get to drink that because those barrels are some of the best barrels that we've ever done.
Well, and like we always say, everyone has slightly different taste buds, and there's nothing wrong with that. And as you talk about it, clearly you guys are coming up on another anniversary here soon, things like that. What's next for y'all? Because you guys have been around for a little while in the game, all considering.
Yeah. Honestly, probably just doing our thing. Trying to get to like one of the things that we've been striving towards is trying to get to more festivals so more people can get our beer that may not come to Cincinnati. While we would love for everyone to come to Cincinnati and see us, it's just not feasible. So like this year, we went to Des Moines for Barntown. We went to Chicago Huntley for More. We're going to Louisville for Hops on the Hill. We're going to Great Taste of Midwest up in Madison. And then I'm trying to think what else we got. We got one down Tennessee. I don't remember where Common John is, but we'll be down there. We were at Southern Grist, another Tennessee-based one. So we're trying to get out there, and our goal is to always do. If we can do more, we will. They also have to be feasible. It's been a lot of traveling for me and Victor this year, just because in August I think I'm gone 3 straight weekends just for beer stuff, which is kind of a lot. But we like to see people, we like to meet people. More was the More anniversary festival was wild. We had we released barrel aged bread pudding, Speak of the Devil, at 2 p.m. and we had a line all the way, like basically the entire like width of the festival, which we've never had before. We ran out of beer before even half the line, or we ran out of that beer specifically before even half the line. We kicked the kegs with an hour left in the festival. It was, we really felt the love up there, which was great. Hopefully we can keep that going, because it also enables us to pack up and go and spend time with everybody. So yeah, if you're at a festival, make sure you come and drink our beer so I can go and drink beer after you guys finish our beer.
It's a win-win, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Garrett, I appreciate you sharing your story, the story of Streetside, and it's much appreciated, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Find more from Hops and Spirits at hopspirits.com.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.